got that right, but we want to welcome you, and it's a blessing to have you. For the last, I don't know how many years, we've been able to support Bobby and Christian, and we asked Bobby to give a report on what he's doing, and whatever else he wants to do, whether it's a devotion if he wants, or whatever he wants to do, or ask questions later, or however that goes, we'll just take it. I think there's more might trickle in yet, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to open in prayer first. Heavenly Father, I thank you for today. I thank you, Lord, for this time where we can hear what Bobby is doing. And I pray that your blessings be upon his life, that, Lord, that him and his family, I pray for them, that their hearts would be seeking you continually, especially in their ministry. Pray your blessings be upon them, that they would see many people come to Christ, and that you'd use them mightily in that way. Pray, dear God, that you protect them from anything that comes their way that's not of you, O Lord. Where it's a blessing to have them here, and we thank you for that. And I just pray your hand be upon our time here this morning. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. Okay.
All right. I have it on. I don't know if you can got me. Got me? Okay. Can you hear me all right? Okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm Bobby Rainbolt. I actually grew up in this church. My parents, Paul and Kathy, moved to St. Francis in 1991 from central Nebraska, and we got involved with this church before this addition was here. And we had, then we dug the hole, made the foundations here, and then I remember in the basement down there, you would have to walk through we'd cut a hole in that wall, right? The old basement wall, and we'd cut a hole, and we would play in the dirt down here, like right underneath here. So, yeah, and then we would usually have football games over here at the Methodist Church with the Swihart boys, the Gable boys, the Jenkin boys, and so a lot of good memories right here. And so it's a joy to be here with you guys. My wife, Alexandra, she's originally from Jetmore. We've been married 16 years. And then Hope, here, raise your hand. Yeah, you're going to get embarrassed right now. And then Bridger, Hope is almost 11. She'll turn 11 next month. Bridger just turned 9 back in June. And then Brooks, raise your hand, Brooks. Brooks is 5. We had lots of baseball this summer. We live in Windsor, Colorado, just outside of Fort Collins. And I have served with Cru since September of '05, so 21 years, and have lived in Fort Collins, Windsor area the whole time. But about 12 years ago, actually about 13 years ago, I switched over to the ROTC ministry of Cru called Valor, and I'll tell a little bit of that story leading into it. And then in 2018, my wife switched from the Cru ministry to Athletes in Action, and so all of those are underneath Cru, like it's like a big umbrella, and these are just a couple ministries underneath Cru. Her job with Athletes in Action, as you can see, this is at CSU Stadium. And every year she puts on, it's called the Ultimate Training Camp. And it's a camp for college athletes that come nationwide. And what they do is they help teach these college athletes how to integrate faith in sport, helping them understand that their sport isn't their identity, that actually God has called them to a bigger, deeper identity and the goodness and security of his love. And it's awesome. Like, you can go the next one, I think. 240 athletes this year is the largest one that they've done at CSU before. And so they get to, it's called the special. It's a 20-hour competition. All the athletes, it mirrors the last 20 hours of Jesus' life before the crucifixion. And so they compete, and then there's principles that the athletes are taught through the competition. And the idea is to help them understand that suffering, even in the midst of a good competition, is a mirroring Jesus' suffering, so that then you can persevere through that kind of suffering. You can go to the next too. Yeah. Yep. This is just the end of the camp. They saw 60 people either come to faith or recommit their lives to faith. It was a huge number. 60 athletes out of the 240 either make a first-time commitment or recommit their lives to faith. This year it was an amazing time. It's always awesome too, because our kids get to see it, and like as little kids, a college athlete is maybe the coolest person in the world. So for them to get to watch other people worship Jesus. Yeah, go ahead. That might be it. Is there any other of the athletes in action? Okay, that's it. Okay, great. So yeah, that's what my wife does. She does all the operations and administration for that camp. And so May is a busy month for us. It's great, but May is a busy month. Okay, you can go to any of the ROTC pictures. So my role with Valor is I serve as one of the national mission directors for Valor. What that really honestly means is I have a few other staff underneath me that I serve our staff to really kind of think of the whole U.S. map for ROTC ministry. We want to think of future military officers as the future leaders of our country, and we want to help reach them. We call it win, build, send. We want to win cadets to faith, build them up in their faith, and then send them out to wherever God would send us. And like I said, I got involved with this about 13 years ago. But in 2008, while I was on staff with Crew at Colorado State, we had these 4 Army freshmen come in, and we didn't really know what to do with them. They're busy. They can't just hop into a normal freshman Bible study because of all the other things they have going on. So I walked into the lieutenant colonel's office at CSU, completely unsure of what I'm doing there. I really only knew military from a few of the friends that have come from St. Francis. So I was thinking of the Kellers, Toby Walters, and Scott Jenkins. And I was like, well, that's really all I know. I don't really know anything else about the military. And anyway, praise God that the lieutenant colonel in the Army at Colorado State at that time was a believer who had been praying for somehow to have a spiritual connection with his cadets. And so he got so excited that I was willing to do that and be there for him. As I discipled those 4 Army freshmen as they went and become seniors, I really started to fall in love with ROTC ministry because these guys are already leaders. The Army is asking them to take leadership steps so that when they become officers, they are fully equipped to handle whatever the Army or Air Force or Marines will throw at them. And so right around that time in 2009, the Army was recognizing that they had a major gap as far as morale and helping the people in the Army be able to handle either coming back from deployments or being able to integrate as a whole person back into their own marriages, family life, all of that. So the Army puts out this thing called comprehensive soldier fitness. And one of the tenets in there is spiritual fitness. And so now with Valor, we were able to walk in and we say, hey, we can help you with that spiritual fitness. And most of those guys go, great, because I don't want to do that. And so then we can kind of step into it. And it's been so fun. what we envision and what we hope to see happen is as this is Kobe Salazar. He leads my Valor group at Cal State Fullerton, and he came to faith his sophomore year, at the end of his sophomore year, and now he's heading into his senior year. And we've been able to help pour into him, not only for his own spiritual development, but now he's leading and caring for others. So, it's like he came to faith, went to faith. Now he's being built in his faith. And in the midst of that, he's also caring for the other cadets that are at Cal State Fullerton that, I've only been on that campus once. I can't be there. I can't go lead that Bible study. So a lot of my job is helping coach and care for either a student leader, a volunteer, or one of my staff that are there. But we look at, like last year I had movements that I coached in South Florida, Michigan, Tennessee, 2 in Arizona, and 1 in Southern Cal. And then we have other staff doing the same thing. So it looks like we are about as spread out as you can possibly be. Sometimes we feel thin. But the Lord has been so gracious to us and has provided all along the way. A story I think that kind of highlights this and why I think that what we're trying to accomplish is valuable is a good friend of mine. His name is Adam Walkup, and Adam just retired from the Army, and he was a Special Forces officer, had 9 deployments, including one that was 14 months long. A long deployment. And anyway, at Adam's retirement ceremony, I was asking him some questions. I was like, just tell me a little bit, I don't need to know what you did, but tell me what was it like to walk with Jesus in the midst of 20 years of pretty much continual combat, continual deployments, continual training. They have 6 boys. So what's it like as a dad? I'm trying to gather some information so I can kind of help in the way that as we develop future officers, it gives me a little bit of an idea of what they actually would experience and go through. And Adam was because I met him on a cruise summer project in Alaska back in 2001. And Adam was telling me, when I went on that project, God showed me how I can just stay consistent and walk with him. And that wherever I would go, I knew that there would be either his provision of somebody else with me that would walk with Jesus with me, or that I could help other people walk with Jesus while I'm there. So in his deployments, he's in Iraq trying to train up Iraqi national police forces, security forces in Afghanistan, doing the same thing. And as they're doing that, these Iraqi national police forces or Afghani police forces are asking them all sorts of questions because they want to train exactly like how Delta Force trains. And so here's Adam with such a cool opportunity where he can then say, yeah, this is how we do this is how we do this training, and then for spiritual resilience, this is what I do. I follow Jesus. And they're like, of course you follow Jesus because you're an American. He goes, not all of us follow Jesus, but I follow Jesus, and it helps me be able to be as good of a soldier as I can be. And anyway, so I asked him, how many of those conversations did you have? And he goes, I don't even know. And I think that that's so awesome because it'll be like someday when we're on the other side of eternity, right? You'll get to see the fruit of Adam's faithfulness, walking with Jesus through 20 years of being in the Army. The other side of that coin is that his wife, Kristen, had a lot of time without Adam in those 20 years. And what she would do is she would start Bible studies with the other Special Forces wives. And the fruit of her ministry is already known, and it's amazing, where Like, she saw over 30 wives come to faith through those 20 years. At the retirement ceremony, there's there's 90 kids at this retirement ceremony. And the fruit of it was Adam and Kristen walking with Jesus in an environment where sometimes walking with Jesus is not a popular choice. And yet they influenced a lot of people. And that gives me such a vision for what we are trying to accomplish with Valor, is these guys are future leaders. Who knows where God will send them, not only in our military, but when they retire, they come back. They are leaders. You can go next one. I'll go through these kind of quick, and then I'll tell a quick story. This is Paul Hansen. He just retired. He was the Wyoming lieutenant colonel. Before he was the lieutenant colonel at Wyoming, he was at the Pentagon, and as he was dealing with post-combat, just working through a lot of things, he came to faith, and so just a neat guy that, like, these are some of the people we get to rub shoulders with. You can go to the next. That might be it. Okay, and then this guy's name is Sean, and he's my student leader at Florida International University. We get to go to Fort Knox, Kentucky every year as guests of the chaplains. The chaplains ask us to come, where we get to, every year the Army sends about 8,000 cadets to summer training at Fort Knox, and they go to chapel service. That's what's going on behind us. And at chapel service, it's like, I mean, you would think that people are like getting saved in the moment. They are like so desperate for Jesus during that training time. It's like part of the hardest thing they've ever done. And so we show up and we're praying with people the whole time. We're like hopping into Bible studies with them afterwards. This year, there were over 3,000 cadets that came to chapel service, but there were 1,200 that stuck around for Bible studies afterwards. It's one of our highest numbers. And over 20 of them came to faith. And so, anyway, that's just kind of a glimpse of it. I was, thinking of what I wanted to share with you guys. And one of the things I was thinking about is missions. Like, why does God send us on missions? Why do we have missions? I think, like, sometimes I can get in a thought that, like, why does God have us do missions when he could have just, like, revealed himself right away? Like Romans 1, right? Like, one of the first things he says is that everyone is without an excuse for knowing that there is a God, because he reveals it throughout creation. So we're supposed to see creation, and you go, there's a God. But yet that's general revelation, and there's another word for it, like when there's actually coming to faith, and that would be specific revelation. And specific revelation is really kind of thinking about the saving power of confessing with our mouth that Jesus is Lord and believing in our hearts that then we shall be saved. So that's the specific revelation. So, but it's again, why missions? Like, why can't, like, Jesus just snap his fingers, show up in a person's life right then? Why does he ask us to be the bearers of witness, to be the bearers of his message? So as you think of that, this is a little bit kind of fun. So you can answer. This is not, I don't have all the answers. But yeah, like, when you think of a missionary, who's one from the Bible that first kind of comes to mind? Paul. Yeah, good one. Yeah. What about a famous Old Testament one? What's one that comes to mind when you think Old Testament missions? Anyone? Isaiah? Yeah, actually, that's true. Yeah. I was thinking Jonah. And you think of Jonah, right? And you don't necessarily think of him as, like, successful missionary, right? Like, he kind of, like, not exactly, like, the one that you want to be modeled after, right? But I think that, like, all of us can relate to Jonah. because he's so human. He clearly doesn't want to go. There's probably a whole reason why he doesn't want to go, right? Like the Ninevites were not very friendly to the Jews. Like he's so willing to avoid what God has asked him to do that he's willing to die. Like he's like, I don't even want to go to Nineveh. I'd rather die in the boat, or like throw me off the boat, let me die. And the sailors are like, you're crazy. Like, why would you run like this? Any other, what other thoughts about Jonah kind of like make you kind of chuckle and laugh? Any other? He hated the people that he was sent to. So hard-hearted towards the people. And yet, what does he say? He goes, God, I know that you were going to rescue them because you are slow to anger, abounding in love and kindness. And yet, it's the same thing that he gets to experience. He experiences grace, right? Like the Ninevites experienced God's grace. And then Jonah climbs on this hill, has his pity party, right? And he's sitting under this little fig tree type of thing, that like this plant that just provides enough shade. And then God sends a worm, right? And like kills the shade tree. And then Jonah's mad enough that he wants to die. I think this whole story is just awesome. And God lovingly speaks to him and says, you're mad that I caused shade for you to die. And yet you don't understand what I'm trying to do. I saved like probably about 1 million people. And then he says, also, there's thousands of cattle too. Like if you're not upset about if you're mad that I saved these people, that's one thing. But there's also other resources here that I'm saving. And you have to wonder what Jonah's final thought was on it. Because, I mean, he recorded it down. Like, so he didn't make himself out to be the hero. But that's what I think, when I think of missions, I think that like it's a refining place. This has been my story. It's a refining place that the Lord has put me in, that like there's been people groups I haven't really enjoyed being around, to be honest. I mean, sometimes college freshmen are not the most fun people to be around. I used to coach high school baseball, and, high schoolers can be a group that's tough to love, too. But, like, the Lord works in my heart as I'm trying to bring about love to other people. So I think that's one of them, is I think that one of the things from it is that it's a refining place to be. Another thing is, ultimately, Jesus was a missionary. And as you think of that, think of what missionaries do. Missionaries cross boundaries, and he crossed the ultimate boundary from being exactly in the Father's presence, crossing that into our physical realm by putting flesh on, crossing that kind of boundary to enter into relationship with us. And I mean, you read about Jesus and the disciples. I can imagine that some of those would be pretty hard people group to love, right? Like Jesus is like, oh my gosh, you guys still don't get it, right? You can see even in the midst of that Jesus is bringing about, he's crossing that boundary, but he's bringing about his new kingdom and loving these people in a way that these people have never, ever experienced. And we can see that even in our own lives, right? The way that he encountered your life from the first day until now, and the work that he's done in your heart, in your head, in your relationships, is all about trying to bring you into a closer relationship with him, where then we understand more of what he is trying to establish, his kingdom that he's trying to establish. The last thing that I was going to just talk real briefly on is that when we get to go, and this could be as simple as taking a step of faith to bring about light to your neighbor, or taking a step of faith to share with a family member, or taking a step of faith to do something that the Lord is asking you to do, but that maybe you've drug your feet, like how Jonah would have drug his feet. Or maybe you've run away, like how Jonah would have wanted to run away. It's not the distance that matters. Like, it doesn't matter if you get on a plane and go to South Africa. You could cross your yard to your neighbor and maybe meet a physical need if that's what the Lord is asking you to do. That's missions. You can cross the street to share with somebody that might be hurting because they lost a family member, and just be a physical presence of comfort and care, and letting them know of the hope that we have, of that we don't grieve as the world grieves, because we have hope of resurrection that comes. Those are the simple things of mission. And the reason I think that the Lord asks us to think of missions in that way is because when I cross whatever boundary that is, and I can be a physical presence next to somebody and help them encounter the love of Jesus, I am putting Jesus and his grace on, so that then that person can experience Jesus and his grace. It's just that simple. It's not a grandiose thing where I used to, I remember sitting in church, and it was Dan, when Dan and Cherie had just gotten back from Japan. And I was terrified that the Lord was going to call me into missions. I was like, oh, I don't want to go to Africa. I don't know why. I didn't really know at the time, really, why I didn't want to go to Africa. And then the Lord sent me to Africa, and I actually loved it. But I was just terrified that I was going to have to go into missions. I felt like that was what the Lord was asking me to do at a young age, and I didn't really want to do it. But I'm telling you that in the sense that it's not this grandiose thing where all of us have to go into full-time ministry. It can be something as simple as that, like loving somebody that might have lost a loved one, loving your neighbor that maybe needs yard mowed who can't physically do it, and you can, in the midst of it, share the love of Jesus in the process. Physical needs are obviously a great way to help encounter the gospel, but also being willing to have those conversations. Hey, can I share with you how I've encountered Jesus and why I don't think it's as scary as what you think it might be? Those kinds of conversations. So anyway, okay, that's all I got. Any questions? I could answer some questions for a little bit.
Yeah, Bobby.
Yeah.
Does your and Christian's ministry intersect?
Yeah.
And how?
Yeah, it's fun. Christian and I have gotten to work together with Valor for the better part of the last 12 years. And I was actually with Christian at Fort Knox just 2 weeks ago. And so it's fun. You get to go with your brother. And it causes all sorts of confusion, because then they think we're twins. They know that one of them is a chaplain and I'm not the chaplain. So then they're like, are you the chaplain? No, I'm not the chaplain. That's my brother. And they're like, you guys work together and you look like each other? What are you? We're like, yeah, we just like to bring confusion, wherever we go. Of course, Christian's hair is not as gray as mine is. And so they always think I'm the older one. But yeah, it's really fun. I get to be with Christian quite a bit, actually. We both started out doing this with Valor, not really knowing anything about the military. And then about 6 years ago, he was meeting with a chaplain right here at Fort Knox. And the chaplain goes, you should consider, he looked at both of us. He goes, you should consider becoming a chaplain. And I said, well, I have a large intestinal disease. I don't think the Army would take me. And Christian was like, maybe I should. And so anyway, he started going down that road, and the Lord has just kind of opened up all those doors in front of him. So, yeah, it's pretty fun to get to do it together. Yeah. 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 Okay. When we used to live in Nebraska before we moved to St. Francis, I had come to faith at Vacation Bible School. My mom was actually the teacher of it. And we had Awanas. You guys still have Awanas here? Yeah. So, so did a lot of Awanas. I was really afraid that the Lord was going to make me a pastor. So I was first like, I don't want to become a pastor. I still don't want to become a pastor. So who knows what he's going to do with that. But anyway, and then, I knew, like, probably, I really couldn't even tell you. I kind of thought that the Lord was going to send me to Africa, so I was afraid of being a missionary. But then in college, I really started walking with the Lord. And my freshman year of college, I went on a Cru summer project up to Alaska. And while I was up in Alaska on that Cru summer project, I really fell in love with working with young men and in a spiritual context. And so we, like, leading Bible studies, talking about real life. And so I came back from that, went back to Fort Hays, and started like a Bible study with college guys, and really loved it. Like, it was like super fun. And then after I graduated from Hays, I knew that at least for a year and a half or 2 years, I wanted to do something with Cru. And so I was actually going to spend a year in Spain, but the week before I was supposed to fly out to Spain, I got really sick with my ulcerative colitis. And so it was like the Lord just closed that door and rerouted me to Colorado State. And and it's been great, because then at Colorado State, just have some really great friendships of people that I've worked with for 20 plus years, that we still all work together. And so it almost feels like a family of doing it together. In fact, with Valor, we call it Friends on Mission. That's what we want to be known as. Like, our Valor staff, we want to be friends on mission. And so as we all try to go and reach this people group of future officers, we're thinking of how can we take this ministry of Win, Build, Send to reach these people, but to do it in a friend environment. That we're going to do it together. We're going to work hard. We're going to get everything done, but we're going to be friends. And it's been awesome, because it's as I work with these guys, these are some of my best friends that we get to do ministry together. And then, I have always said, you can do ministry with tons of different organizations and a lot of really great organizations. It doesn't matter who you go with. It's not like Cru is the best of anything. It's just doing it together with people that you want to go and do it with. And then it's so fun. So anyway, that's a long answer to your question. Yeah, I think a lot of it really honestly is, there was a navigator staff that I knew at Colorado State from a long time ago that I really enjoyed. And we would have coffee every once in a while. And he talks about how you can only give out of the reservoir that you have. And so as the Lord builds into you the reservoir of his love and grace and of his mercy, and that you're starting to see how much Jesus has given you, then the pouring out of it becomes easy. It's I think of it as with my kids, right? As I think of relationship with my kids, Jesus as and the Father brings that love and joy into my life. And it's because of my relationship with him that like I have this overflow because of the goodnesses that he's given us, the blessings, but it's the relationship that makes that so personal, right? And so hopefully, don't answer, kids, but hopefully the love that I am able to help give to our kids, it overflows into who they are and how they develop in their character. So. Okay, yeah, so this is part of the special. This is Horsetooth Reservoir, just to the west of Fort Collins. But at the end of the special, at the end of the 20 hours of competition for the Ultimate Training Camp, they bus all the athletes from Colorado State up to the top of this hill. They call it Golgotha. And it's kind of a solemn moment. So all the athletes are gathered up there. They give them a 2x4. They talk about like Jesus's final breath and the last moments on the cross. And then the athletes with their 2x4 walk down to the bottom of the hill. It's probably about a 300-foot elevation gain. And anyway, and then they bring the cross back up. And it just kind of symbolizes completion. Jesus completing the task at which he was called for. And so then at the top of that hill, it's a really sweet moment. They all kind of worship together as they all finish. And they cheer each other on. It's pretty cool. So, yeah. Any other questions? You know this better. You should come up and share more about your camp. Well, I really appreciate you guys. Yeah, people in this room have supported me for 21 years. That's no small thing. I run out of words to tell you guys how grateful I am for you guys. I want you to know it means a lot to us. We say this, but we mean it. Like, we can't do this work without you. It's not just words to us. That we really mean that. So grateful for you guys, grateful for this body, and it's always a joy to come back to Samey anyway. Great memories. So I bored the kids this past week of just taking them around to stop. She's ready for me to just stop talking. I bored the kids this week taking them around. Like, that's our old house. That's the baseball field. We used to have to take care of that. Stuff like that. So, I don't know. All right, well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys having us. So, thank you.
A little bit of time before our service starts, so if you want to ask